Megan, let's talk about this 6.01 testing program. Looking at the template, this is just a program that requires you to convert or calculate two types of values. A lot of people did feet to inches or inches to centimeters or just something real simple because that's not the important part of this one. Then you just have to write a function to perform it and have at least three different numbers that you test it with, right? Integers, floating point, negative, positive numbers, whatever is appropriate. And then you just create an output to show the results. Okay, so the program itself is very, very simple in that you just have them enter number of feet, and then you convert it to inches and say that equals this many inches, or whatever you want to convert. Okay, you don't have to do feet to inches. You could do anything you want. Like I did one that converts miles to hippos. How many hippos could you line up together to be a mile? Just something silly. Use idle, name, date, description, all that. And then you hit your pseudocode. I'm not sure. Okay, well then that tells me right away you should have got with me and asked questions. What's this program? Well, this is a simple program. You have somebody input a number, you convert it to something else, and you print the output. That's it. Three lines. That's the whole pseudocode. You just decide what you're converting. Are you converting miles to kilometers? That's not the important part. You just make sure it's clear when you have your program. So I got your code here. Let's look at that. It's like, okay, here's the code. I copied it into the Python window, and then I ran it. And I said, enter a temperature. Okay, am I entering a Celsius temperature? Am I entering a Fahrenheit temperature? Kelvin? What scale am I using? So I just said, okay, I'll enter 32 degrees. So if this is Fahrenheit, I'm supposed to be entering, it'll come out as 0 Celsius, right? And it says the new temperature is negative 25.6 degrees. So I don't know. Okay, that's not Fahrenheit to Celsius. Let me try it again. Maybe I'll just put 0, because if it's Celsius, this will be 32 degrees, right? 0 Celsius. And that's negative 50. I have no idea what the scale is. Now, so wait a minute. I think I've seen this. So I went back and looked at the lesson that we had. And I said, oh yeah, on page 5, it gave us 6 different slides. And it started out with a bad example. When you run this program, it says enter temperature, and I say 32. It gives me negative 22 degrees. And down here it says, did you know what the program was doing? No, I didn't. I didn't know what temperature I'm entering. As the user, what feedback could you give the program for improvements? Clearer input prompts and output would have been nice. Select next to view an improved version. So these are examples of bad programs because they don't, first of all, they don't convert right. This formula is wrong. And it doesn't tell you what you're supposed to be entering. It doesn't tell you if you're entering Celsius, Fahrenheit. You have no idea what the program's doing. I have no idea what it's converting. Nothing. But when I looked at it, this is exactly what you turned in. You just copied this bad program from our lesson and put it on your template. And that's the exact same program right there. So you didn't write anything, unfortunately. And what you stole from the lesson doesn't work. In fact, here's another one that doesn't work. When you run this one, 32 degrees, it says it's negative 20 degrees. Now, at least this time it says Fahrenheit. Like when I run it, enter a Fahrenheit temperature. So I know what the program's supposed to do. 32 degrees should be 0. But still, it doesn't work. It's negative 22 degrees. So still, the formula doesn't work that they have in the program. So then the next one, it says enter 32 for the temperature. Run the program again, 32. Equal negative. See, it still doesn't work. If you look at the formula carefully, they need some parentheses. See, you should have the subtracting 32 in parentheses, but order of operations, it does things differently. Not to mention theirs is dividing by 5 times 9. So it's dividing by 45 instead of multiplying by 5/9. It's just a bad program. And then over here, they said enter 32 again. But they're showing us many, many examples of bad programs. And this tells us how to fix it. The correct formula is Celsius equals Fahrenheit minus 32. So they want us to go back and fix this program and make it work right by correcting the formula. So when I run it and put 32 in, it comes up with 0. Now it actually works. But we had to go through multiple slides, and then this is a totally different one on slide 5. So we went through 4 slides of very terrible programs. The first one didn't even tell you what you're calculating, and that's the one you chose to copy. So this should be a very, very simple, because it's really, this program's all about the testing. Just do some simple little thing. Okay. Feet to inches. And then the big thing is testing it. Test it with 0, test it with 24, test it with 11.7, a decimal number. Test it with a negative number. If I put -10, does it give me an answer? That's what this program is about, trying to break it. But yours is broken to start because it still doesn't work. I have no idea what it's converting, and it didn't convert correctly, whatever it's supposed to do. So if you want to redo this, I would recommend it. It's very, very short program because it's really all about the testing. But don't copy bad programs out of there. You can do feet to inches or something. Just write a formula for that. Input, enter a number of feet. Convert it to inches. That equals this many inches. 3 lines. That's the program, 3 lines, other than your name, date, define main, and main. But it could be 3 lines. And then the important thing is test number, so you can put that in your template. Oh, I tested 0. I tested a negative number. I tested a decimal number. You put in yours that you tested 88, 55, 66. Those are all positive integers. That doesn't really test your program to see, what if someone put a decimal in there? Would that break it? Would that cause an error? My program would stop? That's what we're trying to figure out. What would make our program stop? Because that's, if we had this program and we were giving it to our customer and right away they entered 21.3 and it gave an error, they're going to be very mad at us. Well, your program doesn't work. So that's what testing is all about, trying to make sure your program works under different things that users might enter. But you got to have a program that is not a bad program copied from the lesson first. But again, it can be 3 lines other than the define main and main. So if you need help with that, get with me. But this, I really don't have anything I can grade. So I'll get this put in the Buzz as like 1 out of 100, just to show you turn something in. But I encourage you to go back and write. It's a very short program. Get with me if you need help on this. And let's get the pseudocode very short too, because you're just having someone enter something, you're converting it, and you're printing the output. So I think you could do a lot better in answering these questions if you went through the process and thought through the program and not just went, I don't know, I'll just copy and paste it. All right, we'll see you in class.